Ms. Madsen, thank you very much for accepting CGTN's exclusive interview. Well, first of all, I'd like to know your definition on socialism. How would you define the significance and role of socialism, especially in today's world?
Well, I think that socialism in today's world is the opposite of capitalism, you might say. I think that China has a good point in this view that socialism is different according to the countries where it's built. In China, you have socialism with Chinese characteristics. I think that when we have some kind of socialism in Denmark, we will have it with Danish characteristics. So it's different from different parts of the world and from different countries. But of course, there is a core. The core is that it is the people at the power. And the core is that the wealth of the society, the riches, the production, all the riches of the country are owned and distributed among the people.
Right, and you're perfectly right. Actually, people-centered
yes.
is a quite obvious, quite main character of the Communist Party of China, and socialism is building. So how do you see that core value of a Communist Party of China in terms of governance of such a big country?
Well, when I read, for instance, the resolution of the third plenum, I read it as a people-centered strategy. I think that's the axis. That's the red thread through that resolution, which is very diverse and have many proposals and so on. So I think that the people-centered strategy is the core, the axis.
Well, Ms. Madsen, you are here to attend the event of a gathering of all the Communist Party leaders in the world. How necessary do you see this kind of a collaboration among different parties in the world?
Absolutely essential, I would say.
Why?
Because it's well, our conditions are very different, but our reflections on a Marxist basis gives us all possibility to learn from each other and to get new inspiration. So I think it's very, very important. And also because despite the different conditions, there are a lot of common interests too. And you know, Mr. Capital, you know, Mr. Big Capital, Mr. Profit, he is very international. He can cooperate. We should also cooperate.
So in the larger picture, how do you see China's socialist diplomacy? How do you assess it? Do you think it's effective, especially as what you said, it's an uncertain world right now?
Yes, I think that the Chinese diplomacy is very clever. And I think that the Chinese diplomacy is a factor which gives hope. And let me give an example. The Palestine question. In my country, we have a very vivid, a very broad movement. Thousands of people marching in the streets every week. Some weeks only 3,000 or 4,000. Other weeks 50,000 people. That's many walking in the streets in support of the Palestinians. And then the Chinese foreign minister succeeds in gathering 14 Palestinian factions in Beijing, letting them sign a common agreement about national reconciliation. I think that's a huge inspiration.
Well, China's socialist diplomacy, as we say, is on the framework of building a community with a shared future for all mankind. And one of the focuses of this framework is to unite or help the development of the global South countries. How necessary do you think that
I think
is to the whole world?
I think it's necessary to do it the Chinese socialist way, because it's a kind of reciprocal way, mutual understanding and a win-win policy. I think China is not helping underdeveloped countries or the developing world or the global South or what you would call it for its solely for its own sake or for winning itself. It is a kind of mutual understanding, and I think that Chinese comrades are understanding that developing the global south is the way to change the overall pattern in the world today.
And China believes very much on cooperation instead of a conflict with other countries in terms of geopolitical matters. And the Belt and Road Initiative is a very good example of how China is trying to cooperate and in some cases trying to help other countries with stuff like infrastructure. So how do you see cooperation between China and Denmark under that framework?
Well, I think that there should be possibilities for cooperation in different areas, and I know that there are some kind of cooperation, for instance, in the environmental area, climate change, and so on. But I think that there is a main obstacle here, because the Danish government is very influenced by this American-inspired propaganda campaign accusing China of this and that and this, and in their view, China can't do anything right. Everything is just suspicious when it comes from China. So this is a big obstacle, and as long as the Danish government don't free itself from that influence, it will be difficult to have a more developed cooperation. So that's why I think people-to-people cooperation and people-to-people diplomacy is so important
to enhance mutual trust.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ms. Madsen, for accepting our interview on CGTN. Hope to talk to you again.
Thank you.